All right, I'm back here, and I wanted to make another video following up the first part of this. I basically reached out to, you know, the whole story. One guy in the group sent me a screenshot of a conversation with a former business partner of Donny and Irwin. Okay, so that was really the beginning of this. Then I reached out, found the guy, was communicating, set up a meeting. And here's the result of that meeting. Here's what happened. Here's the audio. Now I'm going to redact uh, basically his identity. I don't want this coming back to him. He asked me not to do it, and I'm not gonna throw him under the bus. So we're leaving his name out of this. We're leaving his company out of this. But certain elements of this are going to be known. And the reason I'm doing this is to put this in our paperwork with evidence of proof of early fraud and deception, a pattern here. And that's the whole point. This is a whole pattern of events that started back with the original business partner, the original mentor, their brains of the operation. And if you guys can use this in your own cases, feel free. And that's the whole point of this. Okay? If you can use it for your own criminal investigation reports, if your lawyer needs this, if you need it, if you want to use this as evidence in your file for your own personal case you have against Donny Doquisa and Irwin Soto of EComm Partnerships LLC, how they basically took money from you and ran with it and all their crimes, go right ahead. If any private investigator, any federal regulator, any attorney general, any sheriff deputy, any state and local law enforcement needs this, contact me, reach out, because I have all I need. I have the actual transcripts, I have the entire conversation, it's recorded, but I'm not going to release it. I'm going to ask that person, and maybe at another time, maybe we can just see how it goes if he's willing to do an interview. But he doesn't want to be tied to these guys because, and I want to be very clear here, he seems like a legit good guy. I got the impression that he really wanted to have a good positive relationship with these guys, but unfortunately, since he was in India, and he trusted them a little bit too much, he got himself into a situation where he couldn't control the narrative, and they fucked him. So these opportunists, Donny and Irwin was the originator here, from what I understand. He was the original person, and I'm going to get into it in a minute, but I just wanted to just lay the foundation in here. This guy was a tremendous help, and I literally got a great impression of him. If I ever wanted to do the business again, I would probably have no qualms, no reservations, than hiring him as a partner, because he really came across as truthful, sincere, but he just, of course, he doesn't want his name out there. He doesn't want his big business affected. And that's why I'm not redacting it. I'm not sharing the audio. I'm giving you my summary of the conversation that I had with him. So what I did here, I uploaded the conversation, the audio, into ChatGPT. I stripped out all the audio, put it into a document form, then I kind of had it help me organize it into a quick summary for you guys. So let's get right to it. I'm just going to do this like a read, and you're going to look at this boring thumbnail if you guys are laughing at it. But you kind of have to just put it this way. So just treat it like a audio interview, but I'm just basically narrating in my words my summary of the call. Okay, so basically we're going to call him victim zero. He's the original. Let's just call him the original partner. Okay, so real quick, when we started talking, so I am going to attempt to walk through the earliest chapter of EComm Partnerships, this whole saga, long before any of us became victims. So long before the first invoice, long before the first refund dispute, all that stuff. This is the story of the very first person, Donny Doquisa and Irwin Soto, betrayed internally, a partner who helped them build everything and then got erased from his own company. I'm not going to be naming him again, and there's no identity, no audio, no business information, because I promised him I would do that. But the facts of this matter, and these facts have now been confirmed by him privately. So let's start. Okay, where's the origin of this? Where's the origin? So before EComm Partnerships ever existed, way back, and let's go back in 2016, this guy was running a legitimate Amazon coaching business. He had training programs, he had structured lessons, he had real operations, he had no drama and zero complaints. Okay, cool. So this is a long time ago. So by 2019 and 2020, he started building a done-for-you Amazon operation, which is resolved his expertise, right? What was the problem? The only problem is he was based in India, which it's understandable because, no offense, no one wants to do with India. No one wants to do business with people in India. They have unfortunately have a really bad rap. So the U.S. clients didn't trust sending money overseas and all that stuff related to India. So he needed an American representation. Makes sense. I'd be in the same predicament if I was, somebody in India looking to start a business and I needed the U.S. client base, right? So here's enter Irwin Soto, the original scumbag of the group. So basically, and this is where you guys are going to laugh at this, and this is what I've always suspected, Irwin was hired around 2021, who, by the way, has zero e-commerce experience whatsoever. And I confirmed with this guy that he was just a salesman. He basically said, yeah, he was trained to just pitch the bitch from scratch, right? So, Irwin, if you're listening, everything that I thought about you, you're a dumb, stupid asshole with no knowledge of this, was pretty much confirmed. Okay, he was a guy looking for an opportunity, in my opinion, how to fucking make a quick buck. He was a wannabe business owner, right? So Irwin told him, I guess he was hired, and Irwin basically didn't do a good job of attracting clients because there was an Indian tie to it. India, right? So from what I understand, then Irwin uh, mentioned to this guy that I interviewed, the business partner, former business partner, we need to set up a U.S. company to grow. So the business partner agreed. Irwin said he couldn't just set things up alone here. So here's introduction of Donny, the fucking main asshole, the guy that had some marketing training, but it was lethal. So Donnie presented himself as the marketer and the formation guy. Donnie took control of the banking, the LLC filing, and all the financial stuff. Irwin was in there too. That's how this EComm Partnerships, this limited liability company, was formed. They needed American front. They needed American banks. This guy, the former business partner here that's giving me the information, was the actual expert. Now he's a minority partner, equal share. And Donnie and Irwin controlled the money. How did they do that? They had the U.S. company. They had the U.S. bank accounts. They had the angle, and they knew it. They knew it. It was set up like that. So they had some early success from what I gathered. Fast forward, real operation backing from me out of India. The first 20 clients signed on, and I was confirmed that they had over 100K already in their bank accounts. So Irwin used actual seller accounts that this guy provided to pitch the legitimacy of the operation. It wasn't just Excel screenshots. They went in there and apparently showed dashboards. Okay, real life proof. Okay, which is legit, right? But behind the scenes, and then Donnie handled the branding and the marketing and all that other shit. But behind the scenes, here's the reality. Irwin knew jack shit about Amazon operations. He knew zero. Donnie relied heavy on external contractors that he looked into and he brought on. He didn't know anything either, but it appears that he did, right? The cracks were already forming. Okay, so let's go fast forward to then what happened? The betrayal. So around 2023, everything changed. And here's where the problem began. Clients began contacting the original founder. Let's just call him the founder, the guy that I'm interviewing here, the original business partner, the guy that Donnie and Irwin fucked over. Okay. And they began contacting this guy and asking, who is the new person handling my store? Because apparently something was off, right? So it turns out that Donnie and Irwin secretly hired a Pakistan service team behind this guy's back. So basically, they replaced his Indian coworkers, the people who he relied on to do a good job and was basically the team at this point. So they replaced him, the founder, with, I'm guessing, cheap labor and their own team that could cut this guy out. That's as far as I got, and you guys can judge that and piece that together. So basically, they ended up cutting him out of the communications on the group. They told him a series of bullshit and lies, and they refused to pay him his fair share. And then they eventually led to this removing the entire Indian team from the systems, and then they removed and it was weird. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm just listening to this. He's telling me what's going on. So he confronted them about it. They brushed it off. So at that moment, this is an internal betrayal. This was the first time they executed the exact playbook they would later use on every client. They took the money, replaced the operator, cut access, locked out accounts, ghosted, and then they finally disappeared. So here it is, man. That was the same pattern, the same behavior, the same lack of accountability, and this is the original business partner. So once they removed him, he just basically, his mistake was he, and I asked him that. I'm like, did you have a contract with these guys? And he basically, no, he didn't. And that was his mistake. And basically, that's the added fuck you and the ultimate control that you relinquish to Irwin and Donny, meaning that he's in India. He's already screwed being in India. And then there's no contract. So he had every intention of just having like a handshake agreement, from what I understand. He didn't. When I said, is there a contract? He said, no, there wasn't, and that was his responsibility. So this guy was, oh my God, he was prime pickings for somebody like Irwin to just see an opportunity. These opportunistic fucking cunts they are, Donny and Irwin, and just run with it, and then ultimately learn what they needed to learn, get what they needed to get, use this guy, and then chew him up and spit him out and cut him out of the own business that he formed. That's the extent of this. So what happened after that? From now, I understand the guy has a successful business. He went on. He doesn't want to have anything to do with this, but he's happy to help in any way he can, and I really believe him. He wasn't trying to sell me anything. He wasn't trying to pitch me. He had built. He had to rebuild everything back from zero. He did it, and it turns out let's just say he runs a successful operation on his own end. Okay, all right, but I'm not getting into that. The point is he recovered. The point is he had every intention of working with credible business partners, but these guys fucking screwed him over based on everything I just said. Right? So, why this story matters? That's really it. Why this story matters, because it proves one thing: the pattern did not begin with clients from 2024 to 2025. This began internally years before with the same behaviors and the same tactics. The collapse of EComm Partnership was not an accident, in my opinion, based on all the evidence, all the testimony I've seen from vendors, from former business partners, from former clients, and myself. This was just basically, and here's another example of a continuation of a pattern that they have already used on their own partner. It got used on us. And now victims have the earliest piece of the timeline. So if there's any other updates, I will most certainly update you. But here is the summary. Let's go over it to recap, and we're going to be done with this, and it's on record. What am I seeing? The original mentor, let's recap. The original mentor of the business was part of the EComm Partnership LLC that has confirmed the following. This was the mentor, the brains behind the operation. This is how low these two scumbags went. This is how fucking low Irwin Soto went. He was running a legitimate Amazon coaching and operation from 2016 to 2020. Then he hired Irwin in 2021 to train him from scratch. And he trained Irwin from scratch. Irwin was just some scumbag, slimy salesman. So then Irwin brought Donny in to handle marketing and U.S. banking, because he said, oh, we have an opportunity here. We need to move operations to the U.S. so we can entice more clients, right? Makes sense. So then EComm Partnership LLC was formed in 2022, which basically backs up where you can see it as a registered agent when it was formed. That's free knowledge. With the insider as the minority partner. All access was controlled by Donny and Irwin. After about 20 clients came on board, there was initial success. They shifted it to a Pakistan team without telling the original partner. And of course it would piss him off. This would piss me off. They replaced his India-based operations team behind his back. Then they proceeded to cut him access to company communications and channels. Does that sound familiar? And then they refused to pay his share when he confronted them and wanted just to split cleanly and go our separate ways. So I guess Donny and Irwin, of course, they're not going to want to do that. It's easier just to kick somebody out of another country and just lock them out of Moxo, WhatsApp. They seized all the accounts. They just removed them, and he had no recourse. The same exact behaviors later happened to every paying client, including me, you, and even vendors. So this guy then eventually built back from scratch. He recovered and he operates a much larger business independently. We're not going to get into that. He doesn't want his identity revealed and has verified this, but I have verified this entire timeline that I'm talking. Nothing here is made up. This is directly from the horse's mouth. Okay. So what does this tell us? This is the earliest known example of the scam pattern later used on clients. You, me, and if the warehouse, 1981 warehouse, is listening, you too. It proves intention, malice, and it was a well thought out or coordinated pattern of intentional and willful deception on the part of Aunt Donny and Irwin. Okay? All this is just then a lather, rinse, repeat. They just repeated the cycle up until 2025 when they shut down operations, and everything that ultimately led to our situation. Number one, the clients, and the warehouse, the vendor. So that's it. That's what I've recovered. That is what's been going on. Again, this isn't even opinion. This is factual. I have the recording to prove it. So this only makes it worse. And like I said, the only reason I'm doing this is to report the actual truth behind these two scumbags. Donny Doquisa, Irwin Soto, EComm Partnerships, and the fraudulent operation that in my opinion, from day one, was meant to just basically run for a little bit, on board, take as much money as they can, and then shut it down. It was never meant, in my opinion, I think it's my opinion, it was never meant to be a long-term, legitimate business operation. And this is what fraudsters do. So if you guys have any questions, hopefully this helped. Like I said, if any investigators, any lawyers, attorneys, FBI, federal regulatory bodies, if you need it for your small claims court, if you anything, you just contact me. I'll supply you with everything I have. But this should satisfy anybody. Shrewd people out there can strip what I say, and they can use AI to summarize my own summary of this guy, the original business partner that shall remain nameless, that I interviewed today. So anyway, I hope this helps. I hope it leads to criminal prosecution. I hope it leads to civil judgments. And one last thing I'm going to say, Donny, how you doing, buddy? I know you're listening. Irwin, the biggest scumbag of the group. How's it going, man? Welcome. This is going to get fucking worse for you guys. This just fucking solidifies that you two are bona fide scumbag pieces of shit. It's coming. Talk to you guys later.